All right, welcome back, folks. We have another episode of Practical Spiritual Advice by Infinite You, which is me. It's also you, and it's we. It's a collective ride thing. My name is Harold Honow, upgraded to Harold Aho now, your practical spiritual advisor. I'll be leading you on this journey today. We're going to dive into some really, really cool stuff today. This is going to be a part 2 to the, what was it called? It's like How America Got Her Philosopher Stones. I think that's what I call it. So this is part 2. It's a little continuation. It's been a little while when I posted that. So today is December 5th. And I just want to continue from the point after the initial gridding of San Antonio and the Stones traveling to Guatemala with the Mayan, or for the Mayan Heart Festival, and gridding that space and you know what the intentions were. I want to get past that part and give you a little dive in as to where I had a batch of stones, mind you. I had a handful of stones. It was probably hands full. It was a lot of stones. The initial drop off from Eric was quite a few different weights of stones. None of them were over, I think, 6 or 7 grams. No, I think I had like the largest one was like 20 or 30 grams or something. And we sold all of them, and I wound up, I think I got another small batch from him, and then I wound up purchasing a batch on Etsy, and that's where I'm at now. And I do have one stone that was a very special stone that when he showed up, he gifted me one, or said I could pick one out. And there was just this one, even with all the indentions, when you get to looking at these stones, they're very inconspicuous. And I want to also tap on that for a second with how, and before I keep going and start rambling, please follow us, sign up for the email newsletter, and check out our website, and check out our social medias, my SoundCloud, if you like some new music in your life. And it's not my music; these are my friends. These are personal likes and playlists, and tap into the Infinite You journey, because it's not just here in this practical spiritual advising, and it's not just YouTube, and it's not just Facebook, and it's not just our mind at a time, and it really is a lifestyle. It really is everything that I do, as much as can be put out into the community, because not everything is for the community. I have to keep some sacred, especially because I'm a family unit. It's not just me. So privacy for my children and my partner and stuff. But as much as we can, there's so many ways that we're putting information out there and products. So infiniteyou.info, so you can tap into everything. All right. And all the new products. We've got a ton of orgonite pendants, and just so you know, the tools that we have, which comes in the form of our products, which looks like art, is they're quantum tools, and they work in different ways, but they create harmony within the wearer, so that way that you can find your equilibrium, and you too can manifest all the synchronicities that we are about to dive into with part 2 of How America Got Her Philosopher's Stone back. I think that's what I said. Back? Did she ever get them? I don't know. I think that she did. She obviously did, because they're actually on the ground in Arizona. But the idea is a philosopher's stone doesn't do anything until it comes into contact with a person that has dreams and wishes to be fulfilled. And it's like the observer effect. Observer? Man. All right, let's get it right, Harold. So let's jump into this here and let's continue. So these stones are very inconspicuous. They don't look like a ruby, or, I mean, honestly, a ruby doesn't look like a ruby that you think it does until it's polished and cut up and all those things. But in its raw form, you really wouldn't be like, oh, beautiful ruby. That's not what it would look like. So the Philosopher's Stone is not like a moldavite or a diamond or a shiny quartz crystal. It looks like a little, just a little pebble. And most of them are dark. They're black, gray. Not until you put a light behind it can you see the light that comes through it, because they are, and still, I'm looking at the definition of some of these words, and I'm like, I don't know if it's a tektite, because as far as I'm concerned, or what I remember, a tektite is something of earthly. It's volcanic. It's a mixture of an alchemical process of glass and sand and whatnot. And from my understanding is that this is a celestial body that broke up into pieces and deposited itself in millions of pieces all across the planet. So that's just, and so I don't know if that technically is a tektite. So at the end of the day, I am going to try to go through the process, and I'm not going to be able to give all the information here in this part 1 and part 2 for what the Philosopher's Stones have meant for me to validate that they are the Philosopher's Stones that are also named the Sentamani Stone, the Shintamaniya Stone, the Shintamani Stone. I'm here to validate it, and we'll see how much I can get through today. So, the stones came to me around October. The stones led me to the Circle School that used to be the New Age school, inspired by the teachings of Nicholas Roerich, who was wanting to create world peace with what he knew the Philosopher's Stone or the Sentamani Stone would do. It's a wish-fulfilling stone. And so here we come back around again, and I am a person that has codes that may look like a specific combination of sequences that would unlock a wish-fulfilling stone to unite itself with said being. So the story is that I did the work with my children's school in 2014, 15, 16, and 17 to show my worth, to show that I am here for that type of guidance for humanity. And paid or unpaid, I will do the work. It is me at my core to create solution-based processing until we're at a place where we get to be completely autonomous and free from the clutches and grips of any system outside of ourselves. So this is the mission. It's what I'm here for, and I did that for free. And I was rewarded with these Philosopher's Stones that allow my wishes to turn into reality. And so, as the story goes, the Philosopher's Stones were buried in key positions on a cosmic city on 11/11/2018 at 11/11. Subsequently, they were sent, another handful were sent to Guatemala and the Yucatan with Mayan elders present and other festival goers that and performers. Because when you look into the ticket for that Mayan Heart Festival. There are people that I have now connected with in this time and are friends of mine now and acquaintances and some of my favorite artists to listen to and dance to and create the music that keeps me inspired. So, there's a process going on. And now, and I may recap on this. I don't know if I did mention that Desert Dwellers was scheduled to play in San Antonio right before the world shut down, or right when the world shut down in March of 2020. And the other part of this story is how the Stones were, man, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, as if some of y'all are aware, we did have a successful CE5 meditation, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, on 7/14/2020. And I believe I passed around my sphere Philosopher Stone around the drum circle and the meditation with the group that was there. And so that's what also created the process of manifesting our dreams. And so as we go through that, and if you're not familiar with that story, go back to, I'm sure you can find it. I don't know what the title of it is, but it's the CE5 meditation episode. And so we see there's this sequence of events that amplify, evolve, and create a new process, a new thing. And this is part of, again, why I'm a herald, is I'm this leading edge of information, of data that can cut through the bullshit and lead you to yourself, as it has led me to myself and my mission and who and what I am. So now that I know exactly who and what I am, for the most part, I say exactly, and as soon as I said that, it's like, you really don't know. But anyway, I digress. So, through the process, we see patterns, and now that 2020 experience with whatever type of extra-dimensional beings they were, they sent flashes of light, like Morse code, to guide me towards the solar eclipses, the paths of totality that have been happening for thousands of years, for eons. That this moon goes in front of the sun and kind of points to places and time and intentions and people, and there's some kind of process that happens with this electromagnetic field. I don't want to call it disruption, but whatever happens when the sun is blocked in those places, the electromagnetic frequency within the path of totality shifts. And so that would create a wave. If you can just really use your imagination, your third eye, and tap into what that may look like as an electromagnetic frequency wave field creator, like a wave pool or something, where this large, force comes pushing itself through, it would ripple out, whether it's information or it connects with everyone within the path of totality and their intentions, or where they maybe are. That I don't know. But I think it's all part of the process, and one of the things that I've always asked within myself is, what is this process? How does this look? How do we get there? How can I reverse engineer heaven on earth? How can I be in complete gratitude and awe and amazement of what we've created, and then go, backwards and dissect how we got there. And I think that's what's happening right now, because I'm faced with opportunities and projects and ideas that would be part of the projects and ideas and creation story for that heaven on earth process. And to me, it is extremely fascinating that it involves sacred stones that came to me. I didn't set out to search for the Philosopher's Stone. I think that's what the issue is with all the people. Before I hopped on this podcast, I did a little chat GPT and asked it a question and said, who famous in history has been in possession or stories of the Philosopher's Stone? And quite honestly, it was a bunch of people that I had never heard of. I'm like, who are you? And those, and where's Nicholas Roerich? Why is he not in this conversation? And Genghis Khan and Hitler and all the people that I heard of on YouTube. But, at the end of the day, what it said was they were all searching for the Philosopher's Stone. They were actively on a mission to find it so they can use its potential, its ability to manifest, the reality that you're focused on, or to alchemize lead into gold so you can have all the riches. I mean, honestly, I wish I'll go buy some lead right now and rub these stones all over it and just, come on, man, I need some money. And that's not what I'm here for. I don't need that. I mean, I that would be really cool to have the financial resources to go forth with. But, I'm here to express that you don't have to do those, and it doesn't always play out like that. To turn lead into gold or dreams into reality wouldn't be to hand over and make the complete flip from one set of expression or your environment or whatever into a completely different one. As you can see with people that win the lottery or have real sharp inclines of fame and fortune, not a lot of times do they come out unscathed in different ways. And to be honest, I haven't done the research to find out what the percentages are on that fact, but I know there have been shows and stories that have been created to show what I had just said. The part where it's hard to find your equilibrium as you're making that steep incline. So maybe the process is even more miraculous. Maybe it's even larger than what you think, and maybe money that you would think would flow through you is flowing all around you, and it's being guided into the places that you desire without even having to go through your bank account. So, let me show you how that has manifested here. All right. So, part of the process was when I started looking at these solar eclipses and the paths of totality, it led me back to San Antonio as the seventh largest city in the nation, the seventh tone. And then, I start thinking of this logical steps of moving, repositioning chakras and what that could mean, and moving energy, like I was talking about with that path of totality. If you fluctuate, a large body of I mean, I don't know, what is it, information or lack of information in the form of a shadow. If you're talking about the shadow that's created, that's darkness, that's lack of information, light meaning and equaling information. If y'all listened to me enough or watched my stuff, you know that I like to equate light as information. I mean, because that is it. So, whatever the process that's happening, we have positioned ourselves within a particular field, a frequency of manifesting our dreams. And, again, part of the process is bringing it back to my city, which, if you remember, a lot of me was wanting to escape. I didn't find it adequate for survival, for thriving. the way the city has been structured, put together, the way they make the water flow, our electrical grid, our water system, schooling, just everything is just like, I'd rather go buy land and go off grid. And then just document that and show everyone. Like, you too can do this, and then try to help the city, occasionally, but when you're in that space of like trying to build a community, right now from this position, it'd be like, yeah, I can go back and forth into the city, do a project, and then go back out into the ranch or whatever and build out there and go back and forth, and 1 foot in the community and 1 foot out. And now it's like, seeing how difficult it is when you have large projects to like divert into something that is in a completely different space. An hour and a half away would be where we were wanting to position ourselves, away from San Antonio. And so this cosmic X just kept drawing me back to the city, and looking at how the history, I think, is where it started taking me into the history, the native people, and then it was guiding me to the water, the San Antonio River, and what it was called before, Yanaguana, which means land of the spirit waters, and how the aquifer system is, it being depleted keeps San Antonio from having fresh, water, fountaining out in multiple places. Like, this place, I think, used to be like the fountain of youth. Like, there's so much hidden stuff here. It's just bonkers how little people know about this place, and that is the larger part of the mission, and that's where everything being brought back to the seventh tone. It's like me bringing my own heart, into the seventh tone, as I was wanting to take it out of here. And my heart meaning putting the work in, like I did with the children's school. With COVID and all that stuff, I just wanted to get out. And quickly it said, nope, don't stay here. They need you. Or it's not necessarily they need you, but you're part of the process. You're a bigger part of the process than you think. And so, so let me get you to, I want to take you to late 2020, right? So again, I just found a map that had this information about the solar eclipses. I'm looking at it and I'm talking about it, and I think it was March, or maybe it was April. It was April, I think, of 2021, and our friend Angel Robinson. Wait. I don't know, maybe it was March. Anyway, I don't want to hang myself up on the dates, but around that time is when Solar Punk Summit, as a matter of fact, because before COVID, we were going to festivals often, dancing and bringing the children, and it's was an amazing ride until the world shut down, and then we're really itching to get back with our community and see them and hug and dance and play and laugh and remind each other that we're not alone and listen to good music. And so Solar Punk Summit was it was the first event that we went to after the pandemic, and it was amazing. And I had just learned about this cosmic X and was telling people as they were coming through our booth, because we set up to vend and wound up making really good money, and had a blast, and it was amazing. And I got some videos on my TikTok and that show, some of the times that we had there. It was just beautiful, 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 beautiful. But soon after, everything was just urging me to get our community together to create an event for the solar eclipses. And so we started looking at land and, within the paths of totality. And at the same time, while I'm doing that, I'm also, again, being guided back to the city of San Antonio and saying, how can I get back to this place that's going to get 2 solar eclipses within 6 months' time, where people are going to travel from around the world to come and experience that type of, an experience, a cosmic experience, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And so I was working on a game plan for all of that, and the road took me to Miracle Springs Ranch at Utopia, and to that property, and then wanting to, put an event there, a building man event, and being rerouted quickly as soon as we get there to just hosting an event on the property and saying, well, where am I supposed to go now if this isn't the land to do something, the property to do it? But what did come through was the human design chart system, as well as the galactic calendar, and a little bit of astrocartography that I haven't personally dove into yet, but I know it's part of the process. And so these are systems that kind of led me to ways of discovering more about how I work and more of who and what I am. And as I started to find myself within the time matrix of this galactic calendar system, and started finding myself within the planetary cosmology of the universe, and how it helped to create me, or how it did, not helped, but it is the thing that created me, and how I relate with those and the transits and time itself, and how that all intersects. And so then it started creating extreme amounts of harmony within my life. And I say harmony, meaning that it led to larger parts of the evolution that I've been talking about, this heaven on earth thing that we're building. How do we get there? And so, because mind you, being in a relationship, having children, living in this world, it is not easy to keep your cool all the time. And as a manifesting generator, part of my design when I'm in my not self is frustration and anger, and I can get it. I can get it. I'm good at getting frustrated. You want to see someone frustrated and you want to like that, I can do that. But so it hasn't been easy, but it's led to larger pieces of harmony. Let me take that word harmony out of there altogether, really. What it led to is larger parts of the mission and planet mechanics and, how and why we are here as cosmic beings on a planet that has been put in a place of the waters being rerouted and stopped and not making their connection like they used to in the same place. And it's just been a lot of stuff that's been done, not in harmony with Mother Earth. And so this is where San Antonio and the opportunity to go back into what we were looking at with the school gardens and adding nature within our school system and within our communities. And so now, since the solar eclipses have come and gone, and what I was wanting to create with that and purchase land and do the whole thing, and that didn't happen in that way, I feel that obviously was for a reason. Like I said a minute ago, I would have been taken away from the projects here that are coming out now. And so what's been coming out lately is, how can we educate the community at the same time, or what is the process of educating, let me just throw this out. For example, an apartment complex that is not in the best area. So, most people have seen this. The dumpsters are overflowing. There's bags and just trash all over. There's homeless that live not too far away from there. They're adding trash to the community, and the upkeep is not good. So how do we get them to stop doing that? Right? Now, there's pieces of this story that I'm not going to be able, I don't have the time to put it all here. But before I get to what I was going to dive into now, let me tell you where else these stones have traveled. And I again remind you that I had handfuls of the stones as I was now traveling around. Events are popping up now. I'm meeting people that are aligned with the mission, and my soul tribe, my community is upping their game. Now we're all like, all right, we got to do and be better, and more of my community has purchased land. Some of them are, traveling to sacred sites on, soul missions. And, so I gift a lot of my community stones, these philosopher stones that I know for what they have done for me is they have created an alchemical process that has quite literally put me in place, in the groove, in the slipstream of co-creating heaven on earth with my community in the biggest way possible. And the opportunities are tremendously, you will know what we're going to do on this planet. And wherever you're at watching this, if you're in the year of 2024 and you're like, wow, he says all this stuff but only has so many followers on here, there, and wherever. Yeah, this is about to not be like that anymore. At some point in time, this turns into a global synergy project to add nature-based curriculum in all of our schools and to look at our aquifer systems as points of interest for clean water, because the aquifers are laying just about everywhere you look. I bet if you hopped on Google and said, where are the aquifers around me, you would find there's way more water underneath you than in the oceans, underneath the continents, underneath it. So I don't think it's anyway, I have my own, is it lava or is it water? I don't know. Maybe it's lava and water. So there's a ton of water and it's been displaced. And we are working. Okay, I keep jumping ahead. So I want to remind you, very special people that are on this path have received philosopher stones from me that I have taken to sacred sites. Enchanted Rock being one of them. There are philosopher stones that have been positioned in the cave system there. There are stones in many places along the San Antonio Riverwalk. There's a stone in front of the Alamo. There are stones along the paths of totality within the 2017 totality eclipse that went across America. There are stones in the Ring of Fire totality eclipse path. There are stones along the totality eclipse path of April 8th, 2024, and at Corpus Christi in the ocean. Just in so many places with so many people that I could have sat there and tried to sell every one of these stones and made money off of these things like I should have as a business person. But my guides were saying it would be much more fun if you can hand these out to some people that didn't ask to purchase one. And if I can hand and gift one to a friend that I see has been doing the work, then it would mean so much more when it all comes together and they get to tell their Philosopher's Stone story and how their dreams began to manifest. And so this is where part of the process is to show through my own example people that honor me. Now, the people that got these stones are people that can look at me in the eyes and can feel my heart and say, Harold, I'm here with you on this mission. For a fact. So that's the type of family that I'm talking about. And so I have gifted them stones that turn their dreams to gold. And some of them have gifted them to others. Some of them have, yes, tossed them into fire pits and rivers and sacred places around the planet, along with thousands of other human beings that are doing their own Philosopher Stone, Centimani Stone gritting missions around the planet. And we have created this opportunity where San Antonio, like I've been saying, as a cosmic city, which had thousands of fountains, not artesian springs. The stories that I'm hearing are the water pressure was to such a degree that there was water squirting out in many places around this city and this location, this territory. And that's why the waters were called Yanaguana. That water doesn't start up north, or the river. That river system does not start, up north, part of some long river system. It comes from the headwaters here in San Antonio because of the geography, the topography, the way that the land lays and what is happening underneath our feet. There's a river system that is flowing underneath us from Austin to San Antonio. And when that underwater river system is full inside the caves, it pushes all the water out in San Antonio. Clean, purified by Mother Nature water that the indigenous and the ancients would swim in. And there's stories of like superhuman powers that they had to run for days, to be able to see at night, and just their connection to the star people. I mean, it's all over. The cave paintings. If you look at the Americas, Turtle Island, what this place really, really is, you would see a history that has been wiped away, and we are about to bring that back. And the waters will tell the story. The water will show us, because it's part of the planet mechanics that I believe where we were able to tap into free energy, where the indigenous would grow their hair long, not just to be able to, have them like antennas, but I bet they would pick up power and power themselves with the ethers. And that's why I think Boeing and other organizations and businesses have positioned Nikola Tesla towers along the paths of totality here in San Antonio and in Milford, Texas, right underneath Dallas, right off of I-35. So these Philosopher Stones have come through me into the hands of many, into the hearts of thousands and millions. And anyone that gets a glimpse or an earshot of this information and resonates with it, like a tuning fork, we are now resonating in the same wavelength. Even if sometimes you're a little out of whack, even if sometimes I get frustrated and angry at the world, it's okay, because that underlining timeline of the galactic calendar, the human design system, and everything else that's showing itself in to the collective and in all the ways is here for us. And these Philosopher Stones are in key positions to mark this journey. So, now let's come back to about the here and the now and the opportunities that have brought themselves forward to me. And this is where I keep, jumping out of myself and looking down and saying, holy shit, dude, it's freaking happening. It is actually happening. How did you do it? And that's why I've been documenting this whole thing. And I've said it from the beginning of my spiritual awakening that I wanted to document as much as I could and as best I could, with all the social media platforms that are out there to hold on to information. and present it to people, it's out there, you know? So, recently, I've been drawn back to a walking park that I grew up next to. I don't know if I posted on here yet, and I don't want to do it on this because we're kind of running out of time here. I want to close it up with this, thing that has manifested, and also just to have a little assistance on completing the circuit and closing the wave function on this next process. So this now turned into walking park, which it used to be just a field with some trees and, mostly field, right next to an apartment complex that I grew up from around the age of 10, 12 until the age of 19. And so in 2014, they put sidewalk up and some workout stuff off the sidewalk and some benches and a little parking lot. And recently, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 months, we've been going out, me, myself, or the family, or me and Amber. We'll go out and we'll walk around on the park and, just kind of connect with nature. For myself, I'll go off the sidewalk and I'll go into the field like I used to do back in the day and climb one of the trees or look at the holes in the ground and just explore nature, listen to the woodpeckers when they start, knocking on wood, and follow them around and just check them out. And now I know where they live, and so I know what's happening on that property. And so as I was walking around, I start, noticing things, because I'm really into permaculture and growing food and taking pieces of land that aren't necessarily abused and making them better. So this park that's now really, really cool, those apartments that I was speaking about earlier, where people are letting the trash overflow, and it's nasty. That's the apartments that I grew up at, and I think it's worse now. As far as I didn't hear any children playing around when I go there. I remember when we were growing up, there were just a lot of kids our age, and so we were running around playing volleyball in the courtyard and swimming in the pool and playing in the field and, all kinds of stuff. And everybody kind of, more or less knew each other just because of the way the apartments are situated. It's a square where all the doors are facing in. So the trash that comes out of the dumpsters, it would eventually, this park, it's the dirt and everything, and then trash, it's the chemicals, whatever, it's flowing into the field right next to this field where it's now a beautified, and it's about to get better park. So one of the things that is drawing me to work on this trash issue is, as I was walking around the park, I started thinking about growing food, and then I'm like, man, we could just, you can see where the runoff from the street, comes into the field, and, it creates this green line where water flows through the now walking park. And so you can utilize that. You can capture water, you can, use it for longer, you can store it. There's all kinds of really cool things you can do with land if you know that you have water flowing there in large amounts when it rains. But it's not a good idea if that water is all contaminated with trash. So now that I want to put a garden there, and I've got these ideas, and it's not like I can just go rogue and start putting a garden. That's not what I'm talking about. Because of the work that I've done, I've gone out and made connections with key organizations that help put gardens in the community and school, all kinds of stuff, right? So, and the city is a lot of times looking for people to adopt, whether it's a park or, road or whatever. And so the idea would be for Infinite You, our business, to manage the park and maintain it and be able to grow food and bring people out off of the beaten path, off the sidewalk, and more into nature, and put some swings hanging from some of those trees, and have some plaques that tell you what kind of tree that you're about to climb, and why is it leaning the way that it is, and all kinds of things. Like, that's what I would like to see. And so the other day I was walking around and I saw a couple people from Parks and Rec taking pictures, and I stopped to ask them what they're doing, and they're surveying the property, because there's all these holes and it's causing the sidewalk to lift up in places or fall down in places. And so they're trying to fix it and trying to make sure that they don't have to keep fixing it. I mean, that would be the sustainable option, because it looks like whatever they did to fix is already starting to mess up. I was noticing the other day. And so I'm like, they need to replace the sidewalk with something else, something that's more natural. Because the other part is it's just concrete. It's not good for walking. It's a walking trail, but it's all concrete, and that's not good. And there's a bunch of old people blowing out knees and shit if they keep walking on that. Whether it's a rubber surface or more of a nature walk with like granite trail or something like that. Anyway, so I talked to them, and I'm like, hey, how could I, who do I got to talk to about, putting a garden here? Like, I can communicate with the organizations, we can raise money, and, I'd love to handle something like that and be a part of it. And so I get the number, I tell her my ideas, and the lady that I'm talking to, she knows all the other people that I know. So I'm like, all right, cool. So, kinship there. We're on the same mission. That's why she works for the city. She's trying to do some good. So I find that information out, and she says they're actually about to start building a park on in the park, on the walking park. There's going to be, not just a park, a playground. And I'm like, oh, okay, a playground. And I'm thinking immediately like just a regular old plastic playground with the same old shit. And it's not what I want. I'd rather it be about nature and have like some of these new parks that they're building, or playgrounds that they're building, are more like experiential, and they teach you things and stuff like that. So that's what I was desiring. I'm like, man, if they're going to build it, hopefully I can find out, before it's too late and give my input or whatever. And so recently, I guess about a week ago, we got the plans. They, the person that she gave us the contact to, we reached out to them and they sent the plans over. And the city actually, they've got $1.25 million to upgrade the park and add this playground. And this playground is going to be experiential. It's going to tell a story of water. It's going to have a pollinator. It's going to have some native bushes and shrubbery and stuff like that, and some shade trees and some more benches and a gathering area and a naturescape. Like, I'm just like, what? So you manifest that, right? Like, we can manifest these things. And I had no idea this was happening. I'm just walking the park, envisioning what I want to see, and little do I know, it's actually already in the plans. So it's like the chicken or the egg, what came first? And so really cool things with that. And then as we're tapping back into our community and the different nature festivals and networking events and stuff like that. So we went to one called Nature Fest a few weeks ago and wound up seeing a table there for the Office of Sustainability for San Antonio, which was created in 2017 and really came into its being in like 2020 is when they really started pushing like initiatives and stuff like that. And so now they're really, growing their office and trying to be more sustainable, forward thinking. And so I see the organization there. I stop by and I'm like, hey, what do y'all got going on? What are y'all actually doing for the city? And they're like, oh, we have another readiness plan. And the readiness plan spans, I think, 2 to 4 years as far as projects, funding, direction for the Office of Sustainability, not just them, but for the city. Right? And so I'm like, oh, wow, I'd like to be a fly on the wall. I'd like to give my input as a person that lives here. I'm a business owner. Like, how do I get in on this? And she gives me her contact information. I wind up calling her, a couple weeks ago. And when I was talking to her, I asked her, more about that. And she said, well, let me know, who are you? What do you do? Like, let me know more about you. Because I want to give input. I want to guide this thing. If they're doing a readiness plan, I want to be a part of it. And they haven't gotten all their board members yet. So there's positions, voluntary board member positions available. And so I told her more about me, the mission, what I've done, and she was very excited and is looking to add me to the board. And I would be able to help guide the city with its sustainability practices for the next few years. And so, with the project that I am looking forward to doing on that property, part of it would be to clean up the trash that is there, but not just clean it up for the residents of the apartments, but also teach them how to lessen the amount of trash that they're putting in. If we could build a food forest or a garden that needs, good fresh soil or composting and whatnot, then they can compost right from the apartments. And we can develop a program to lighten the amount of trash. So there's a project that we're working on. I don't know what I want to call it yet, but I want to put a scale to weigh the dumpster. I'd like to go clean up that area without the residents knowing, and then watch it and see how long it takes to get it back to the same position that it was, or what happens, right? To analyze, get data. And once we figure that out, we give it a few months to see what accumulates, and then we can go from there and communicate with the residents more intimately and let them know what we're doing and why we're doing it and what's about to come to their park. Because most of the people that are around there don't even know that there's about to be a playground that's going to be really cool for them put up. And, with what Infinite U wants to do, we'd like to turn that property into a gathering space, a grounding and earthing, a connecting, a community space for enlightenment and connection to nature. There is a food forest. There's a farmer's market that happens across the street that is also just a parking lot, a pavilion, a restroom, and this open field. And so I'd like to incorporate that into what we do and host our own events right there next to this park, get the community involved, and grow food and teach how to work with Mother Nature. And so these opportunities have literally just landed in my lap, me just following my gut. And one thing I didn't mention before we get off of here is we are in, day 6? Where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are on day 6 of a 10-day run of the Galactic Activation Portal Days within this galactic calendar. And so what I just went over was part of the birthing process. It was intentions put into manifestation that created a real opportunity, a tangible opportunity for practical application. And now that opportunity has birthed itself, we're in the second loom of the Maya within the Tolkien. If you're not familiar with that, go do a little bit of research and you can find out more. But within this stitching of time, we have the opportunity to nurture what was just birthed, what was just created. So I just gave you an example of what was created. When I am a board member and have the opportunity to guide the 7th largest city in the nation, the direction and how large we can, what can we document with, putting in, whether it's an earth ship or, a dome home or, any one of these, sustainable off-grid dwellings that we can guide our code makers and, what do they call them? The inspectors and stuff like that for housing and, construction. Into adapting in more sustainable, really sustainable practices and water harvesting and energy efficiency and all of that, then little by little we can start to transform the city of San Antonio and allow other cities to take note and follow suit. And this is how, collectively, from all the different perspectives and different ways, through our school system, through community gardens, through permaculture, through water harvesting, we transform all of the existing, homes one by one into sustainable off-grid homes, and lighten the load and bring back the natural flow of water. Because if we're not drinking so much water out of the tap, then we're not depleting the Edwards Aquifer. And if we're harvesting to water our plants and, gardens and all that stuff from natural rain flow and absorbing that into the land, as opposed to flushing it out and into the ocean and just taking all the trash with it, we have to learn how to clean up before the storms, so there's no trash, help our homeless and our mentally ill or whatever people, hungry children, all that stuff can be accomplished in these sustainable practices to help each and every city and every person throughout the nation, throughout the world, gain sovereignty and autonomy through their everyday being, where clean water, clean air, clean food, clean energy is the everyday norm, and it all costs zero. Zip, nada, nothing. And that is the direction that will go. And this is all my solution-based processing and the manifestation of the Philosopher Stones as they have made their way to America and gridding the planet and gridding humans and manifesting our dreams into reality. So thank you so much for joining this ride of the Infinite You journey. And just make sure you tap into the email newsletter at infiniteu.info. Follow wherever social media you prefer. Please give our SoundCloud a listen and a like, and comment on some of the stuff so we know that you're there. Interact with us. The algorithms are going to help. If you think this information should get out to more people, then please interact with it, because that's how the algorithms and we will grow. Only if you participate. If I'm here talking to myself, we see what that's done. Yes, it has manifested these things, but imagine how much faster it would go if the word is spread like wildfire. If the validation that we're in this process, is what I've just explained to you, is validated through all these other perspectives, because now people get to hear this story and say, oh shit, I was there at that time, or I did this, and that makes sense, and this is what I've been dreaming about, and this is why I did what I did, and what I'm doing here, I manifested the same thing in Cincinnati. Harold, that's great, let's unite, or whatever the case may be. So, with that, we want you to love always, in all ways. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.